Hi there and welcome to the channel. This is the Legally Blind Geek YouTube channel. My name is Mike. On this channel we focus on overcoming low vision challenges. Now here it is, middle of November. The leaves are falling, but more to the point, right now is hunting season or getting ready for hunting season. Archery season's been in for deer for some time. Squirrel season's been in for some time. And those of us visually impaired, being diagnosed as legally blind like myself, and other times, in a lot of people's cases, as we age, we suffer vision issues, low vision problems. In this video, we're going to look into setting up a rest for a visually impaired person that makes them possible to go hunting. Whether they want to hunt to harvest game animals, or whether they want to just simply hunt and record videos, hunting videos per se. Sometimes it's just as much fun to be able to record videos and sit back and watch and enjoy and remember the day afield. But anyway, in this video, I'm going to share some opinions. We're not sponsored. If you see something that you like, see something that you want to try, the products that are featured in this video are going to be included in the description. Some of them will be Amazon links. You can go to Amazon, find out what price availability is. You may even check out some of the reviews on there just to find out what other people think. But you're not going to find very many that are focused on, if you find any at all, that are focused on overcoming low vision challenges, you know, a visually impaired hunter happens to encounter. Our main focus today is setting up a Bog Death Grip carbon. It makes it easier for, and makes it actually attainable for somebody with low vision to both mount a scoped weapon, whether it's a high-powered rifle or a crossbow for that matter, get a good, firm hold on the control of that allows them enough time to be able to focus in on what they're wanting to look at, whether it's a target or a bird or a deer or a squirrel or whatever it just might happen to be, through some high quality hunting optics. So if that sounds like something that you or someone you know might be interested in, please watch this video to the end. There's lots of tips, lots of tricks, and it may be a hack or two that you haven't heard of that you will find, or the visually impaired person in your life will find useful. Okay, here we go. We're going to try something. I've got one of these handy dandy little mounts that supposedly will attach an iPhone to a rifle scope. And I'm going to attach this with the sole purpose of answering a question. Well, these kinds of devices work for a visually impaired person to be able to acquire and aim through a rifle scope. It comes in this little cardboard box, and here's the apparatus as it comes out of the box. It comes with these three little plastic things. Yep, they've got a taper to them. And on the inside of this, we screw this off. Some really fine thread, so it takes a while to come off. Inside here there's a taper that matches up with the taper in these guys. So the premise is you select one of these that best fits the eyepiece on your scope, which I think for this one's going to be that one right there. And this taper will match up with that taper. And this ring tightens down to compress it to make it secure. Let's give it a whirl here. So if I was a betting man, and I may be doing this wrong, I haven't looked at the instructions, but I'm going to slide this on. Then I'm going to slide this on. Oh, about such maybe. And then there is a ring in here that limits how deep it'll go, I think. So let's just see how this works. If I slide that over that, to where that slides in there, and that's butted up against that stop, and I'm going to slide that in there. Then I'm going to take this ring and that's got it pretty snug. I don't want to get it too tight because I don't want to compress that in there to the point where I can't get it back off the scope. So then the next step is to take the phone and line it up in here there's a small hole right here that needs to line up with the lens on the camera. And one of the concerns that I have about this clamp, getting it to line up so that I can line the camera up on the phone without getting in the way of the volume rockers or the on and off button. See about zooming in on that. Can you see that? Okay, that's not exactly square, is it? Let's see if we can figure that out. Let's loosen this up. Well, there's that. Now then, there's these little set screws on the side that we can loosen up, and we can slide that in and out to kind of work on that. What's that look like? There we go. That's what it looks like. And that's how quick and easy it was to take it out of the box and set it up. This is a quick view out of my garage since it's raining outside. Kind of mimics, you know, the light that you might find in your typical pop-up hunting blind. Look out, Rock. I don't need your help right now, bud. Okay, go play. Go play. Go on, go play. Okay, we talked about setting up the smartphone adapter on the Burris 3x10 so that we could use the screen on the iPhone to see what was being viewed through the rifle scope. Now, there's a lot of controversy out there as to whether visually impaired people should be allowed to hunt or if they should even think about hunting. I've struggled with this myself. Not to belabor the issue, but I haven't been blind all of my adult life. Legally blind. Being blind, whether it's dark blind or legally blind, has a different connotation for different individuals. But I'm not dark blind. My peripheral works as well as anybody else's does. It's my central vision that has been taken from me, I guess you could say, because of a histoplasmosis, the histovirus, and scarring tissue that resulted from PDTs. So I can't see as well, but I can use my peripheral to compensate for that if I have a proper amount of magnification. And I'm not unique in that respect. There are other folks that have similar conditions that if we learn how to overcome these obstacles, we can do just about anything we want to. Now, does that mean go out there and go bang, bang, shoot them up and shoot up the whole world? No, that's not the point at all. The point I'm trying to make here is that with a little help, or I should say a lot of help from friends and a little determination, you can implement what we're talking about in this video to overcome low vision challenges, and you can use them for using a weapon such as this, for target shooting, for hunting, or you can use the optics which are on here that are pretty good optics. They're a lot better than any auxiliary lens you're going to buy for your iPhone, and mount it very easily without spending quite a bit of money. Each individually motivated individual that has a visual impairment to decide what their goals are as far as hunting goes. You want to just attach your smartphone to your rifle scope and record stuff out in the woods, setting up a blind like you see behind me is the, at the time that I got this, I borrowed it from a friend. He found it on discount after season went out. It was really cheap, and it's a Rhino pop-up blind. In the past, I've used the double bulls. We got them when they first came out, so they're over 20 years old. Anyway, they need some repair, and it comes to the point where, is it worth fixing them, or do you just get a new one? This was cheap enough. It was on discount. It was a little bit over $100, and you can't beat that. So, part of the setup would be attaching the rifle to, in this portion we're going to talk about the Bog Death Grip tripod, okay? And this one is the carbon fiber, which makes it about a pound lighter. It does make it a little bit more expensive, and strangely enough, when we were looking to buy one of these, we actually found one cheaper at Amazon, from one of the Amazon stores, then we could buy it here locally at our local sporting goods store. So you shop around, you can find a pretty good deal on them. If you want to check out the description below this video, I put the link in there that you can go, you can check out the price, the availability, and just shop, just compare for yourself. Now, one of the concerns that I had was, you know, they advertise this thing for high-powered rifles, you can use it with a muzzle loader, you can use it with a crossbow, you can use it with a lot of weapons that have optics on them or that you need stabilization for. And for a lot of visually impaired hunters, that's really important, so it gives us time to be able to see what we're wanting to aim at, kind of get settled in on it, kind of focus everything in so that we can see. And if all that happens and our target is still presenting itself in an ethical manner, we can decide whether to punch the record button on our smartphone or start going through the preparation to fire the weapon, you know, with some examples, well with some exceptions, and we'll talk about that here in a bit. I don't want to make it too awfully long, so let's try and get along with this. Okay, let me introduce you to my firearm of choice. This is a Remington Model 700 with a detachable magazine. It is in a .338 caliber, .338 Winchester, and it is completely unloaded. And in the other videos, I have it with the bolt closed, and that's simply because with this smartphone adapter attached to the scope, it's basically a one-shot operation until you take it all apart, rechamber another round, and set it back up, okay? Because when you pull the bolt up, it comes up really close to the eyepiece on the scope, and it will not allow it to open so that you can clear the chamber, okay? One of the options that we talked about, a friend of mine, was, well, maybe we just need to change from these close mounts to a higher mount to get the scope up off that to give us more clearance. So this rifle is set up the way it was, the way I had it set up before I lost my eyesight. So that may be something that I look at down the road, okay? But having said that, we've got the magazine out, we've got the bolt, it's cleared, there's nothing in the chamber. So we're going to move the sling out of the way. I'm just going to set this up here and get it as flush and as level as it will set. On the back side here is this little knob. We're going to tighten it down. until we get it good and snug so that it holds the weapon pretty securely, but it's not compressing the forearm or the composite stock against the barrel or against the mechanism, because this is a free-floated, it's been free-floated. So other than where the lugs are for the mounting hardware, it's not making contact with the polymer, and we don't want to create some friction there or change the vibration that may affect long-range accuracy. Okay, just, we won't get into MOA, we won't get into BC or any of that kind of stuff. That's for other people that cover that. I just mention it just simply because it's just something that we think about. Another thing that folks often talk about is this has got like a little bubble level on it here. For me, it doesn't really do much good. I can't see it, one. And two, when you start moving this around, the ground's not quite the same, or if you have to move it around to make it accessible to shoot through one of the windows on the blind, all that changes and you don't have a lot of time to make those kinds of adjustments. So what I'm going to do is, like I said, this is a 338 Winchester Magnum, so it's got quite a bit of punch, it's got quite a bit of recoil. And that's why I choose to have this leg with the cushion on it in line with the back of the stock, because my thought is when it recoils, it's going to come back here, it's going to push against this, give it a little bit more stability, which when we took it and we did fire it, we did find out that this is the best way for that. And in addition to that, with the legs in this situation up front, we can get it closer to the front of the blind. Why is that important? Being able to get the muzzle on the outside of the blind. And if you've ever been inside a blind or a duck blind or something like that, and some yahoo is touched her off inside the blind, it makes quite a bit of noise. A lot more so than if the muzzle is outside of the blind. So that's one of those things that we're going for here. Make sense? I thought it might. So I got myself a little chair. I need to adjust this up so that it's comfortable for me. So I can do it with the rifle on, or I can take the rifle off. And basically, there are these, I'm going to go ahead and take it off, just so it's not so tippy. But these clamps here, release them, feed the leg out, clamp it down. And I'm just going for approximate here, so they're about the same. Clamp it down, the back one here, and right here is that little level I was talking about. Now, one of the things that I find that I do a lot is these little buttons here. You push these all the way from which your right to your left, locks this in that position. If you push it one notch, it gets it where it sprays out a little bit more. You push it all the way from left to right, and it lays all the way out like if you were wanting to be in the prone position. So you just need to remember to push them all this way. And I go in a clockwise rotation, like I'm looking at the top of it. So if I push them all clockwise, as far as they'll go, it locks it in this position. So now it's nice and sturdy. It's not going to go anywhere. These legs are going to stay where they're at. Now that might be a little bit low, might be a little bit high, but what I have noticed is when we get in here like such, and that smartphone adapter is attached to this, it brings it out to right about where your eye relief is going to be. Like if you have to get your eye close enough to the optics on the scope to be able to see, you know, a nice view, you know, nice and symmetrical, so you've got the full view. When you put that attachment on here, it moves that back to about where the face of the camera or the phone is about where your eye would be. So you'll end up having to pull And look, it's going to be right here. And if you try to get down here on it like we've been taught to, you'll marry your cheek and your cheek well together for all that, good accuracy, all that marksmanship training that we go through. That's not going to work because that's going to be right here. Okay? So that's something that you need to think about. When I fired it, I would strongly urge you to set it up like this, to take it out and practice. Get a feel for what and how you're going to have to hold it and what it's going to feel like. Because if you're like myself and you've had decades of firearm training and experience with firearms and hunting, you're going to have to relearn some marksmanship skills to make this work effectively when firing at a target or firing at game. Whether you're looking at squirrels up in the tree, you could do that. Or if you wanted to set it up for turkey hunting and you had a shotgun on here and you were waiting for the turkey to come in your turquoise spread, you need to work on that as well, because a lot of those weapons have pretty good recoil. And I'm happy to tell you that this Death Grip by Bog, it will hold up to the recoil. So just to recap real quick, get you a good comfortable chair, or if you want to know how to use this thing in a prone position or something like that, just post something in the comment section down below and I'll do another video on that altogether. Basically, this is just setting this up, what it takes to set it up so that a visually impaired hunter can actually get out of field and enjoy all the things that we love. I'm in the backyard of the house right now, so you hear all the suburban sounds going on around. But when we get out into the woods, we can hear little critters walking across the forest floor. We can feel the wind in our face. We can feel the sun in our face. You can feel the sun's coming from this direction right now. And we can smell all the smells. We can experience all that stuff that gets our adrenaline going without having to sit in the house in front of a television watching some professional hunter or somebody do a video on showing us how to kill big bucks, when really what motivates us is more about the whole experience, about getting out, about walking around, about looking, interpreting what signs we see, working with our hunting companions, our partners, about where scrape lines are, or where trails are, or maybe even looking at some game cameras. A lot of people use game cameras now where they get an idea as to what time critters are coming through and which direction they're coming through, and all this kind of stuff helps a great deal as far as setting up this setup and a hunting blind to make it possible for a visually impaired hunter to get the most out of that experience, to really have a good time and not feel guilty about, oh, I shouldn't be doing this because I can't see very well. Let's kind of put that on the back burner. We got to consider that. We need to take some safety concerns into account, but that doesn't mean that we cannot do it. We just need to find out how best works for us. So, having said that, we can move this from here inside the blind with all that in mind that we talked about. We want to get this adjusted so the barrel is on the outside of the blind, and we want to make sure that we get it set so that it's high enough that it clears the bottom portion of the windows that are inside these blinds, or makeshift blinds if you want to build a ground blind or something like that. These are all things that you take into consideration when you're putting these things together. But having said that, once you get it all set up like it is here, you get your field of fire established, you can do this. Have a spotter in the blind with you, or the setup with you, so that they can say, hey, there's a doe, hey, there's a buck, hey, there's a guy walking down the ditch there, whatever happens to be. Yeah, we're not going to do it all by ourselves. Yeah, it's going to be maybe akin to taking a kid hunting, but that's better than sitting at the house on the couch. I'd love to hear from you. I'd like to see what your comments are, what your questions are, any suggestions that you might have as to how you feel like a visually impaired person should or could or would consider going hunting. If you like this content, consider subscribing. Give us a thumbs up, like it, share it, and I'll catch you in the next video. Oh, by the way, all the stuff that we've talked about right here, other than the weaponry, is in the description box. In the description below, I have included some affiliate links so you can go and you can look and you can do some shopping and see what you think. Not counting the weapon, but the chair, the Bog Death Grip carbon version tripod, and the Rhino blind. Sound like a good deal? I'll catch you next one. Thanks, bye.